Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about
Hey
life as
everybody,
stay-at-home
welcome back
dads.
to the
So sit back,
show.
relax, and
Hope you've had
enjoy
a
the
great
show.
week. Punch it. So we're gonna
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. Don't worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Yeah. What's been going on with you, man? You got last week, you're finally like kind of into the thick of summer. We were talking about that a little bit, and we talked about the No Dad Alone campaign.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, you mentioned just a moment ago, you've got something that you're doing tomorrow night with some dads. Is that right?
Yeah, getting together tomorrow afternoon. Just going over to one of the local breweries.
Ooh.
It's a really neat place, and I didn't want to go to a brewery, admittedly, because I don't drink beer. I'm like, we can go, but all right. Um, and a big part of a brewery is obviously drinking beer, enjoying beer. But they have a huge game section in the back, and they have like bags, you know, the little outdoor game cornhole, as they call it. They have a setup for two different things of that. They have darts. They have about 30 board games and about probably 15 or so like the old stand-up arcade games. So there's a lot to do there, and there's a couple of other like yard type games that they have set up
Do
for that
they
I've
have a
never even
huge
heard of.
do they have a huge stump that you slam nails
No,
into?
no, no.
I thought that was a
I'm
Wisconsin thing.
sure that's out back. Yeah. Yeah. I think even especially at a brewery, they understand how inebriation can affect your abilities. And they thought it was just too dumb to try that in a publicly provided place.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
yeah, we're gonna get together, and I'm gonna wear my Milwaukee "Dads Don't Babysit" shirt
Heck yeah.
because it's a big conversation piece, especially around people who drink a lot. Yeah, like you're wearing right
The one
now.
that I've
Okay,
got.
yeah, and it's great because it looks so good. That's one of my, I think, probably my favorite shirts of the ones that we put out over the last, what, 8, 10 years, whatever I've been going. So yeah, just gonna go
Yeah.
hang out and play some games. I don't know what, but probably play some board games with some people, and
Sounds like fun.
I guess find a something to drink. I don't know.
Usually they've got, whiskey and stuff like that as well back there. So
I don't think so. Not this place.
not
This
this place.
is
Okay.
yeah. What the from the description, but it's really funny because it's one of the descriptors is family friendly, family friendly, and I went cool because that's what I think breweries need to be. We need to move to a place where it's okay if your family's there, that it's not just you drinking with your friends, but you bring your partner, you bring maybe your kids. Your kids can go in the back and play games, where
As
you're
long as
not
there's a
there to
designated
just
area.
yeah. And as long as you're not there to get completely faced,
Right.
you're there to enjoy beer, not to get drunk. And I think that's a big distinction that I'm learning between what I would consider a bar and a brewery.
Right.
A brewery is more about the enjoyment of it and more about the entertainment that you can have surrounding it, whether it's events like you've talked about, you put on and such at yours. And I really like the idea of it, that
Sure.
we're moving to a place where alcohol isn't something that you have to drink until you can't see,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Um, I go back and forth on the whole like kids being at the brewery thing. Only because at our establishment, like it's a family restaurant, so we get lots of families in there, but we don't really have anything for the kids. Like we have a kids menu and that kind of thing, so but we
Yeah.
don't really have the space to put anything in that's like, hey, here's like an activity center for like your kids to come hang out. So what we run into a lot of times are parents who just forget that they even have kids sometimes, and then the kids take off and start running around the brewery and exploring, and it's a bit of a
Mm-hmm.
headache for staff.
Danger. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've had to tell kids before, like hey, go find mom and dad, get back with them,
Mhm.
please, because I've almost run you over just walking around a corner. So there is that side to it, but I do like the fact, yes, that we've gotten to the point where it seems like it's a little more, I guess, like what's the word I'm looking for? Status quo, I guess, to be at a brewery with your family, with your kids, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
just enjoying a
Yeah.
meal, enjoying some time hanging out. And I've seen people too where like they come in with board games, man. They like big
Mhm.
old bags of board games and they just have a good old time, like
Yeah.
playing that for a couple hours, and I'm all for that. So I mean, and some places do have cornhole and things like that. We again don't have the the
Yeah. The
room for
space.
that.
Right. Yeah.
Although I did see something really cool that this one brewery, I don't remember where it's at exactly, but they took the elements of putt-putt and the elements of disc golf
All right.
and put together this like really fun nine, or no, sorry, not disc golf. I take that back. It's putt-putt and cornhole. And so what they
Okay.
did is
Much
that,
better.
yeah, that's better. Yeah, I know, I'm like, oh gosh, it doesn't sound right. Sorry, I got disc golf on the brain. Um, so the idea is it's like a 9-hole course, and you've got uh cornhole boards set up in different kinds of ways with like obstacles in the way and things that you gotta like throw through the middle of or throw over and stuff. And you don't need a whole lot of space for it, because you just gotta be able to fit the boards in there. And I was joking with my boss. I was like, we should do this. This would be awesome. Like we've got a patch of grass that's like perfect for being able to put something like that in. And he's just like, uh-huh, sure. He laughed at me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Rightfully
was like,
so.
but I think that being able to be creative on the properties that breweries have, because some of them don't have a whole lot of space.
Right.
So you gotta be creative like that.
Yeah, I agree. And you're just offering more to the people,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I mean, it's the purpose of a business is to retain customers, that's just to make people keep coming back. That's what you do. And the more they come back, the more
Yep.
people show up, and it's what you do in business. So seeing them offer things to people, well, like myself, I really don't drink anymore. Just I can't handle the sugar. I
Sure.
just don't want to do it, and so I can go into a brewery and just hang out. And granted, they're now non-alcoholics, and there's some okay non-alcoholic beers that I've had that were still beer, but they were okay,
Right, right.
Uh, but having that chance to go in with just like a group of guys, like I'm gonna do, I'm just hang
Hmm.
out with some other dads, and not all dads, but other people, and just kind of be there,
Definitely.
and it's good.
No, that's good. I like that.
But
Hey,
today,
yeah, I was gonna say today. Yeah, what we got going on today, Danny?
board members are showing up.
I know you kind of brought this up as to the guys like, hey, like if you want to come on, I thought that was really cool. And so we have the 3 brand new board members that have been on for just a year, which I think it's like the first time that we've ever talked to first year board members like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to hear what they have to say because I can remember back to my first year on the board, and it was interesting.
Yeah,
It's eye-opening, I will say that.
it is. It really is.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of pulling back the curtain and finding the wizard back there and realizing that like things aren't as you might have thought they were with
Mm-hmm.
how the organization functions, or like, oh, I wish this was able to do this, and then you get in and you find out like, oh, that's why it's not been going like.
Right. Right. Oh, wow. That's way harder than I thought it was going to be. Well, like the convention. You want the convention in your city? That's fantastic. We have a budget. It's a very small budget. And then we
Right.
have to have activities and close to the airport, and the food and beverages got to be right. And all those things come together. I don't even try. You got to know your limitations. And I look at that. I'm like, I couldn't even do the RFPs. I'm just going to step back and let more talented people handle that stuff.
There you go.
Like some of the people were coming on.
Exactly. So yeah, so we're gonna have the first year board members on, and we're gonna talk with them, and it'll be fun. I'm interested to see where this conversation goes because I don't really have any formulated questions so much, but I do have some. Just want to hear just their insight onto.
I had a couple.
Okay,
I wrote down a couple literally before I got on the call. And I went, we should put some questions.
cool.
So
Well, hopefully anybody that hears our questions, if they didn't get their question answered, just sends messages to us, because I really
Right.
want to, like, I want this conversation to definitely continue on. So I'm gonna put that on the front end of this whole thing, and we'll be right back with those board members and continue on in our talk.
Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support. Connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At-Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, it should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At-Home Dad Network challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. And we are back. Welcome back. We've got our board members with us, and they are going to spill the tea, because we're going to, put them underneath the spotlight and grill them. No, I'm just kidding. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
You're too old to say that.
To say spill the tea?
Yes.
Whatever, man.
Yes.
I'm trying to stay up with the young lingo.
Hello,
Fine.
fellow kids.
Spill the coffee, okay?
But good morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
So today we have Chris
Good.
Griffin, and we've got Kyle Denny and Paul Gordon with us. These guys are all first year on the board, and we're going to hear what's been going on, what they've been experiencing, and find out if, what would make them want to join the board, and if that's something that also is interesting to you. So, yeah. Hey, guys. So just curious, we're going to go one at a time just to get a little bit of info from you. Chris, we'll start with you since you're to my right. Just tell us a little bit about you and your family real quick.
My name is Chris Griffin. I'm married to my wife, Gretchen. We got married in 2011, and our firstborn came around in 2012. So we started pretty quick. She's 11 now, going to be 12, which I feel like she's kind of playing the 15-year-old role as well. So it's been interesting. And then also have an 8-year-old son, and he'll be 9 in October. So that's just me.
Okay. And
How
I
long
always
you been
have
with the network?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
How long you been with the network?
I've been off and on when my daughter was born. We had a pretty tight-knit group of friends. It was when she was like 18 months old. We called them Bratz Group. It was the Blue Ridge Active Toddler Society, which was a fantastic name. So until they went to grade school, everybody kind of was in a different part of the county. So we all kind of went to separate schools. So time was rough getting together, after school. Nobody wanted to do anything after school and work. So I've been with the network off and on since she's been born. I've been more active during COVID with book club. My dad dropped off a bag of books during COVID and said, "Here, read them." He's like, "They're fantastic." So I was reading them, and then I saw that book club had meetings every other week, and I was like, "Well, I'm reading 1984, so I like to talk about it because my wife doesn't like hearing me talk about books anymore."
That's awesome, man. That's very cool. I Yeah, books are always fun, and honestly, it's really I got Kyle over here giving the big thumbs up about books. So, um, sweet. So, Kyle, we'll go to you next since you were just mentioned. Tell us a little bit about you and your family and how you got connected with the organization.
So my wife and I married in 2011, had kids, and our daughter was born in 2015 and son in 2018. Um, so after she was born, it was about a year after she was born, I decided we chose for me to be at home. And so I became really active in Denver Dad's group and in fact took over leadership. And then I met Frank Kuiper, and Frank said, you should come to this convention. And, at first I was very like, we can't afford this. We just went down to one income. So my first year I was a scholarship recipient. Um, got to my first convention. It was great. So yeah, I got really active on Facebook after that. Been to every convention since, and just got more involved in the planning committee, the volunteer channel, and so just running for the board seemed like the next step.
Yeah, and you're heading up the
But
5 and you started headed up the 5K last year, and you got that going on again this year, right?
yep, yep. This year we run Saturday before the convention, so more dads can attend.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, I've got to still get signed up for that, but that's my plan to run. I'm really bad at this. I am a huge procrastinator. I haven't even bought my ticket yet, actually. I've got my hotel room and that's about it. So
We know. We all know.
I know.
We all know. Okay, buddy. We're waiting for you. But
I know.
no,
I
no,
know.
we don't.
I'm a horrible example.
Yeah, you leave the board and you're like, I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. Let's show up the day of, here you go. No, that's not happening.
Right. Right.
They're like, glad you got a hotel room. You ain't coming in.
Right. You guys got any more tickets? I'm gonna need a ticket.
Yeah, I'll have Matt Strain or whoever. Is it Chris? Is that you doing the food? And be like, yeah, here's some crackers.
Hopefully the
Oh,
hotel has really good food options.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I hear. Well, and so
Yeah.
that voice is the voice of Paul Gordon, and seeing that Kyle was commenting on scholarships, he's also a part of the beer share, and been a lot going on there. Paul, tell us a little bit about you and your family and how you got connected with the org.
So I'm married to my wife, Jennifer. We've been married since 2007. We had our first child in 2013. So that was nice. Not rushing right into parenthood. And like some people do. Then I still worked and had a kid, and he was in daycare. And then we had another one in 2017, and we had a whole bunch of moves and sold houses, bought houses. 2017 was wild, and I became a stay-at-home dad because my wife's work allowed it. So then I joined the Stay-at-Home Dad International Facebook group, and then like 2 years later, like 2019, I think, or maybe early 2018, somewhere in there, Brock just added me to the National At Home Dad Network page, and I was like, "What is this?" And then, so that's how I got connected to figuring out that this even existed. Didn't really do much until COVID, and then realized there was these Zoom social hours all the time. Started jumping on those. Really got me through COVID, so that was nice. Decided to go to my first convention, 21 in Cincinnati. Was like, yeah, I met all these guys digitally. Might as well meet them in person. And then at Cincinnati is when Joe and I pretty much like launched the beer share into what it is today, through just like, let's do this, and it's been fun, and I really enjoy the conventions. Like last year in Milwaukee, I was on the planning committee, and because I'm right here, and we really did an amazing number on the beer share last year. And this year we're trying to bring it back to its roots a little bit more, getting more local stuff from guys versus us trying to ship everything in. But we're definitely working to raise those scholarship funds again this year.
Yep. I love how the beer share started out of a brown paper bag.
Yep. It's like the best story
Yeah.
ever. I draped a dollar bill over the corner of a bag and said, "Tip us."
Right? Yeah.
It's a completely
And-
Wisconsin thing right there.
Yeah.
We were talking before y'all came on about breweries and what have you, and about just that experience of just enjoying beer together and not trying to get drunk. And we talk about that a lot. We've talked about the beer share probably 2 or 3 dozen times, just because y'all have done such amazing work for the organization, but also because when people think, well, a dad convention, what's that like? Yeah, there's beer, and there's a lot of beer, in fact, but you don't ever see people like downing an entire beer or anything like that. It's, oh wait, hang on, guys, I got 6 glasses here. You guys gather around. We're going to try this, and the dude names off the beer like football stats. I mean, he just has everything, ready to go. And then everybody gets a little taste of it. And I thought that was very impressive, because to me, I don't really like beer, and I didn't grow up around alcohol. There were alcoholics in my family, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. But it's nothing like what I thought it would be. It's not a bar scene, right? And I want to say I really appreciate that y'all go through all of these efforts, not only to put it on, but to keep it civil and to keep it a little quieter than maybe it wants to get, and to keep it focused on the enjoyment of hanging out with other dads and trying new beers. Y'all do a great job of that. And I just wanted to compliment you, and of course, let your team know we really appreciate what y'all do.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I mean, we try to definitely make sure guys aren't getting drunk, because that's not the point. So, and coming from Wisconsin, we drink a lot of beer. So it's difficult for someone like me to get drunk, but it's easy for guys who aren't around drinking all the time, like people that aren't from Wisconsin. So
Are you guys like Canadians though? Do you just consider beer not alcohol? Is that what it is? Because I recently heard John Candy, or heard in an interview when they were talking to the guys who were part of the movie Stripes, and they were trying to explain to John Candy that they were filming in a dry county, and he's like, "What's a dry county?" And he's like, "We're just going and getting beers," and they're like, "Beer is alcohol," and he's like, "Beer's not alcohol."
it is it is interesting. Like when I drink beer, I don't really ever get drunk or buzzed or anything. So yeah, I guess
These mountain men, I tell you
I
what.
guess it is like that.
Yeah. It's child alcohol. It really is.
Right.
This is what you give your kids to help them maybe sleep a little. That's it. But so you guys have been on the board for quite a while now, and it is your first time on the board. I know it's not your first time for each one of you on a board of some kind. You've all been involved not only with the networks, clubs and such, but also with other things outside of that. But for the National At Home Dad Networks board of directors specifically, what surprised you once you got on the board, got into it, and really spent a few hours at a board meeting and then got to the point where you kind of have a grasp of where you want to go and what you want to do? What surprised you about being on the board here? Anybody?
For me, it was a lot of the details, like finances, and just all the planning. I mean, I had been on the planning committee, so like the food, the beverage, the activities, but getting on the board and like figuring out how to get speakers over, and just representing the organization through like articles, people who reach out to us. That's all been surprising.
Kind of a look behind the curtain.
Go
ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I was just saying, it was really nice because I've talked to you guys previously before joining the board, and you guys have been very friendly and nice and chummy. It's just wonderful. I think the thing that surprised me is how official you guys are. You guys sound very professional at board meetings. So like making a motion, second an motion.
That's only after we hit record.
And I will agree with that, Chris, because I didn't know what to expect. And I'd never heard of, is it Rogers Rules of Order, Roberts? Well, I've never, it's Rogers, right? Whatever it is. But the rules of order that you run, Roberts. Okay. But I never recognized what that meant or what that did. And like you said, it's a very professional organization. They talked about the bylaws when I first got on. I was like, the bylaws? Okay. We have bylaws. Well, of course we have bylaws. And then I thought, well, I need to read the bylaws. And I was very impressed with, for lack of a better term, the legalese. You know, the ability the organization had to take a document and make it a professional document when really we're just a bunch of dads that want to help each other. So that also surprised me. So I get what you're saying. Paul?
One thing that surprised me, which is why I kind of stepped into the role as treasurer, was the lack of financial transparency we had at the time. And not to discount the last treasurer, he was just going on what was used to be done. But there was a lot of funds that were available or that existed, but all existed in our general fund. So nobody had a picture of what existed in reality. Like the scholarship fund, I had to do a big audit to figure out exactly how much money the scholarship committee had, because they had one number and it wasn't anywhere near correct. So and being on other boards that have really good financial transparency, because that's what you need as an organization.
Yes.
Without being able to see that, I was like, well, I'm going to take something I already am seeing in another board and just run it over here and allow for that transparency for everybody to see. I feel like it's helped. I don't know.
Yes, it has.
You can tell me, Danny and Chris and Kyle, based on where we started and where we are now.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you ask anyone that's been on a board of directors like this, what's the most important position? It's treasurer, period. There's, I mean, especially not VP, but also secretary, even while Matt does an amazing job and he has so much work, a lot of what he does could be kind of disseminated between everyone else. But what you do and what our previous treasurers have done has been the hardest thing that I can imagine having to do for an organization like this. Now, it's simple, right? It's not, you can do this. I know, and I know you can do this, obviously. But we've had, like, I first got on and people were like, you want to be treasurer? I'm like, no, do not. I will run us into the ground. I am not the guy to do this. No. And we couldn't find anybody the last time. The previous treasurer was voluntold. And he willingly stepped into it, and I applauded him all through it. And then when he left, when you took over, I think he probably breathed a sigh of relief, because we really took him and said, you're out on a limb there, but do your best. And with no knowledge, right? But again, going back to, we're just dads volunteering to help out. So yes, you've done a great job, and I really appreciate what you've done.
I'm curious. So when I joined the board all those years ago, the time that is involved in communication throughout the weeks and days and all that kind of stuff was very interesting, because I feel like that's something that back in the day wasn't really discussed a whole lot. And two, like, the organization, the board has gotten more organized in the fashion of having a good communication with Slack and everything, because we didn't have that prior. Like 6 years ago, we were trying to like figure that out, and we were using like Facebook Messenger, and it was just crazy trying to like keep everything. Like, there were just like multiple conversations going on, and it was nuts. It was like somebody came in there with a paintball gun and just started going to town, and you're like, who's who? So I'm kind of curious, like, what has your experience been like with the communication? Do you feel as if it was what you expected, or what is it been more than what you expected, or less than what you expected? And how has that affected like parenting and just life in general with you? Because I know that, like, it definitely all kind of pushes together. Whoever wants to go.
I've never used Slack before, but I love it because the general meeting we have every month can be kind of like abbreviated. Like, you can kind of cut it short because you can work a lot of stuff during the month, just shooting ideas back and forth in whatever committee that you're looking at. I'm on a bunch of committees, so it's like I feel like constantly my phone's like ping, 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 which is great. because that means we're doing work and we're getting stuff done. But there are times where like my kid's having a little bit of a trouble like time with a meltdown, and then I hear like a bang, and I'm like, I'll get to that when I can get to that. But
Mhm.
the communication's been awesome. Just operationally, I'm still learning Slack, so that's been the toughest part about it. But it's fairly simple once you dive into it and kind of get used to it.
Yeah. I was gonna say that on the meeting note, Keith has really got it down to where we don't labor on about a ton of stuff, that we keep like to the schedule that Matt makes, and so that's really helped because Wednesday nights aren't swamped, and
Right.
yeah, and Slack just is the best tool. It's like Chris was kind of saying, you can do it at your convenience. I mean, you hear those pings, you want to respond to them right away, but you get to them when you can, and it's really helps organize. And I'm in a number of committees, and it's nice to bounce around and have it all organized. Um, but yeah, it's a great tool. The time though has been a little more than I thought. Definitely.
Yeah.
Back when I only had to like plan the 5K and do a little of the convention stuff. I mean, it's definitely a lot more, but it's not overwhelming, but it's close at times.
For me, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can turn your notifications off on Slack.
Yes, you can. just,
I-
just remember to go back and
I-
check them or set them for a time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only get notifications on my phone when someone direct messages me. Otherwise, I don't get any notifications. I just make sure I'm checking Slack every day, make sure I'm not missing anything.
Otherwise, he has office time in his water closet.
Yeah, right. So and then I'll take like a 20-minute time block or a half-hour time block per day to check Slack and respond to stuff. So I'm not like in it all the time. I don't know. I feel like that helps as far as like time wise for I created the new treasure report, and it takes me now about a half hour to fill it out every month. So I'm not like killing myself on time. And I feel like I'm working about as much as I expected to now. At the beginning, I was barely doing anything and felt like I was useless. So, like, when are you guys going to assign me something?
So a big part of having new people, and the reason that we bring new people in regularly, we generally get 3 open slots every year, and we want 3 new people. A lot of times, the big part of it is the improvements that new people make. People that come in and look at it, and things like Slack is a great example where someone came in and went, wait a minute, what are we doing? This is all discoordinated. We've got to find a spot where we can all talk and we can talk about the things. And okay, well, we need a channel for this committee. We need a channel for that committee. And the ability for people to look at that and come in and like you said, turn off the notifications, but to look at it and say, oh, well, I know what everybody's doing. I kind of have an idea of what our team is doing because we are a team in that way. So this is a question that I want you to feel free to answer in whatever way you want, even if it's, we need to get a new VP, I'm good with it. But the things that you'd want to improve on the board of directors specifically and on the organization.
Well, I'm very happy with the VP, so they don't need it.
Right out the gate.
I don't really have anything I feel needs changed. Yeah, someone else can take over that question.
Cool.
I think that's been, I mean, the organization has been run really well since I've been really like, I guess, active part into it. So the only thing I could think of is that I didn't know the opportunities to help volunteer. I know Dale's a great volunteer coordinator, and he's wonderful. It's just knowing where the need is for help and stepping into that role. That's the only thing I didn't really have any clear view on before joining the board. I know Kyle's done the 5K and Paul's done the peer share with everybody. I didn't have any kind of idea where to step in where it was needed.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say, to address that point, having a volunteer coordinator is incredibly important. And we haven't really set Dale up for success per se. We kind of, the what we do with a volunteer coordinator is just hope that they'll figure it out. And I hate to say that, it's something that we're working on improving, but they'll just find people to volunteer to do what. And we've really made some good strides. And I will not put any issue with Dale himself doing the job. It's been great having him, and I hope he keeps doing it sincerely. We just need to make sure that we're giving him the information. The board needs to step up and say, hey, we need someone to do this. We need someone to do that, right? But I love that he's in that position because he's helped us so much working for, getting the dad panel going, which is something we'll be talking about more and more as we go. And those opportunities are huge because we are an all volunteer organization and we need people that are going to come in and, and fill those slots. So I'm glad you brought that up.
I was going to add that one change is just with all the extracurriculars that the organization has, like book club, Monday and Thursday, dad lounge, and just all the things that had go on, the mental health breakouts. I feel like you kind of have to be on Facebook a lot to catch all that stuff. And I feel like the organization, one improvement they've made recently is they've started graphics and they kind of have the schedule for the week. That's been really the best improvement. I feel more, it's helped more involvement. And I've seen in book club a lot more joins recently. So
nice.
Yeah, I will say that definitely the communication has gotten much better since I've been a part of the organization. I think that just the awareness to make things more out there in the open for people to be able to find them, and having different avenues for people to be able to hear about the different events. Discord has been another huge side to that as well, and I think that the fact that we could take all of those Facebook subgroups and basically translate it into a channel on Discord and give, the ability to be a part of those in that way, it was a nice move. It worked really well. And I will say that, the only thing that is interesting about it is just making sure to basically post it on Facebook and post it in Discord. Remember that? I'm really bad about that sometimes, because it kind of almost goes by the wayside. So, or it becomes almost like an afterthought. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that type of thing. But there are just so many people that have kind of just almost stopped their Facebook usage and are just solely on Discord. And that's the part that sometimes is hard to remember. Oh yeah, I know so-and-so is on Facebook, but oh yeah, they do all their communicating in Discord now.
Yep.
So,
Paul, anything that you want to fix or improve before we move on? You made your improvements.
Everything I've noticed, I've already put my 2 cents in, so I don't know.
And I love that. I really do, because you did come in and you've got experience that I think a lot of us don't. And you came in and wait, why are we doing it this way? And I don't know. That's the way we do it. And you were like, especially with the treasury stuff. Well, why don't we do it this way? It's way smarter. Oh yeah, it is way smarter. So I certainly appreciate it.
I'm I got experience, so I've already pretty much put out everything I wanted to see. I know one thing we're going to do this year that you guys haven't done, or we haven't done in the past, is set a full year schedule. I've already brought that up. So we're going to set our full year schedule after the new guys come on in October.
Well, that's awesome.
So then everybody will be on board or in line with what's happening for the whole year in the board. So
well, that's awesome. Great. That's really great. And so you guys are coming up to the end of your first year. We've talked about a lot of the different things that are going on. What are you looking forward to coming into year 2? That you've had time to sort of I don't know what the word is. It's fermented a little bit. You're ready to kind of go about putting it out there.
You're not the new guy anymore. That's what it was for me. For my first year, I'm kind of just sitting there going, don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to, where do you want me to help? I just need to know where you need to send me. Right. And that first year, you're the new guy. But after the new elections, you're no longer the new guy. Now you're a seasoned veteran, and you'll have people, and this was hilarious to me. People would ask me that came on the year after me, go, "Hey, what do we do? How do we do this?" I'm like, I don't know. I only been here a year, man. I've never heard of this thing. What are you asking about? Right. Which we are working on our onboarding as well, because that's something that I feel like we really need to be way more professional about. Bringing new members on is great, and they're always excited and they're ready to help. And a lot of times we just go, cool. We'll go help. Where? What do you want me to do? Right. And we don't have a good understanding of who those new members are. So we don't know exactly where they will prosper and where they will work best. So we kind of stand off and go, we'll let you find your way. And after your first 6-8 months, every person that I've seen has found their niche. They found their place where they will prosper and bloom, let's say. But we're working on adding that to their experience as they come on, as opposed to waiting for them to figure out, get your sea legs, you'll be fine in 6-8 months. Well, that 6-8 months, that person has been maybe even frustrated, but definitely not as useful as they wanted to be. So we want to avoid that too.
Yeah.
That's one of my pet
I think
projects.
One of the big things that happened with, maybe, I don't know if Chris and Kyle found the same thing, is that, like, I already mentioned it once, the first like month or two, I literally was like, I'm doing nothing. What do you guys need? Like, I'm sitting at home just reading these messages. Like, I don't have, I had like no input, no job, nothing to do. And it's like, give me something to do. So then that's when I went and was like, and I was like, I'll be the under treasurer. I'll try to learn this job, because I knew Grady was leaving. And I'm like, so I have something to do and help. So I think that's the big thing for new guys, is like, you might feel a little useless for the first month or two, but don't worry, you'll get somewhere.
That's great advice, actually. That's golden, because that's I think how most first year feel like about that. Like, I know that's where I was for the longest time, and it was only because like I did the same thing you, like, I reached out to who did I reach out to? Shoot. I can't even talk right now. Oh gosh, what was his
Somebody,
name?
it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I reached out to somebody and was just like, "Hey, like, I'm curious of social media and what can we do there?" And I think it was just like a couple of guys were like, "Yeah, like, you come in, we'll show you how to do this," and that's how I got involved with it. So yeah, I love that. That's great advice.
I felt the same way, Paul. Like, I kind of came in and was like, what do I do? Like, I'm on a board, I'm on Slack, there's an email, there's all these things with board meetings. I couldn't get my ducks in a row. But being on the board for the first year, I've been kind of working up a checklist for new board members to kind of have like a welcome email with this checklist of like things that you need to start just kind of keeping an eye on, looking for, and working on, like just getting used to Slack or getting used to your email and how to sign in to certain places, kind of getting used to the workbook, the trapper keeper. All these things are very important. And I just want to create that list for guys to be like, hey, here's some stuff you can be doing, looking into whenever you have time.
And what I love about you, Chris, and I will say this for everybody, but specifically you, is you keep coming up with amazing ideas, which is fantastic. And then you're willing to do those. You're willing to take ownership of creating that idea, because that is what a lot of a volunteer organization comes to is, I have this great idea. Okay, make it happen. And I don't want to say that we're completely hands off with people, but the reality of it is if you want something done, you're going to have to kind of build your team and do it. You can find help. We have resources. We have people that are willing to do what needs to be done. But just as an example, have looked at certain projects and said, well, I want this to happen. And everybody agrees this should happen. And then it doesn't happen. And it comes back to like a month later, the next board meeting, I'm like, oh, well, then I'll just do that. I'll just make that happen. And that's a big part of being volunteers. But stepping out of that, I'm brand new, I don't know what the heck's going on, into the, okay, well, I'm going to make some changes and I'm gonna follow up on them. You've done that in several ways, and I wanted to just tell you directly that I appreciate that effort that you've made to come in and go, this is a great idea. Okay, I'm going to make it happen, and we appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Danny.
That's huge, honestly, because to be a person who's an idea person and just able to throw ideas out there, but then also to be able to go through, like follow through with it. That's a huge relief for folks in a volunteer type of setting, because a lot of times people are always just like, oh, this is a great idea, that's a great idea, and you're like, okay, like what do you want to do with it? And they might have like the first couple of steps or whatever, and then you come back to them later and you're like, oh, did you start that? No, I didn't start that. And you're like, okay, like I thought that's what was happening here. And, oh no, I just had the idea. And you're like, oh gosh. Like I
Yeah.
know of a very particular individual who deals with that exact same thing, and I talk to them all the time about it. And it's the one frustrating thing. It's like they have passion for what they're doing, but then somebody who's like, I got all these ideas, and then it just mucks it all up. So I love the fact that you're following through with it. It seems like, you're understanding how to even, grab people to bring them in on it and make it come to fruition. So that's awesome.
I appreciate that. And sometimes I have to remember we're all here to help one another. I kind of tend to like, if I have a task that you guys ask me to do, I'm like, all right, I'll take it on and do it. And then things happen where like I just get lost with the kids or things with the house. Sometimes forget to ask for help. And I think that's important for people to know, like, we're all in this together. So
Mm-hmm.
reach out to those who you think can help you.
Definitely.
Well, we're running close to time. I want to say before we go that I really think all three of you have improved the board. I want to make sure I say that today, because we were great and we're just getting better. And I want each of you to understand how valuable you've been to the board for the last year.
I think Kyle
Thank
had
you.
something that he wanted to say too.
Sure, Kyle.
Oh, I was just gonna add, I wish there was a checklist for me. I'm definitely a checklist guy, but Keith, when I worked with him on the planning committee last year, had told all of us, he's like, if you are passionate about something, just take that on. Take that on and, just send me details as you go, basically.
Yeah.
This might not have been exact words, but that's definitely really helped me. And so, like with my running or with book club, I took those passions and I found a way to put them into, my work. And so
it's been great.
Yeah, that's my advice. Find your passion, all of it.
Yep, that's what I was just going to ask. Was like, what piece of advice would you give to these board nominees who are looking to come on the board for this year?
I would say don't worry about finding something you find weird and just saying it. Like if you see something that you've done better somewhere else, so it's weird to you,
speak up. Yes.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Don't let it fester and be like, man, this is really weird. I don't know why you're doing this. This is goofy. Like, just let us know.
Yeah,
that's what I did. Just like, this is weird. We don't have visibility on whatever. And then feel free to take it on, or don't be afraid to take it on.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of like, how like you're in like Discord or Facebook and you put up like a man, I wish we would do this thing or that thing, and someone's like, well, then you should run for the board. I'm already here. Now it's like, just say it. Like, we'll just work it out. Like, that's that's really what happens. Like, you don't have to worry about hearing that, like, run for the board. You're already on the board. So now that thing that you want to point it out. And as weird as it might be, and see what happens.
Because we're not professionals.
No.
We're not hired to do this job. We're basically just like you, but we don't have that experience. So we don't have that understanding. Like, oh wow, yes, Slack. That makes so much sense. Let's stop doing DMs and Facebook Messenger and get an actual organized thing. And if you've been in business, you get that. You see those things. It's just a hugely different way. I've never been in business. I'm a manual laborer at best, and the things would, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is great. We need this thing to do this thing. And there's a tool for it just waiting for us because people have been in business for decades and centuries and developed all these things that we can use as volunteers.
Chris, what do you have some advice for somebody getting ready to come on the board?
Take a breath, enjoy the moment, because the next 3 years are going to be a wild ride. This first year, it's been great. Just enjoy it, take a breath, and just have fun.
How about you, Kyle?
I would just second the follow what you're passionate about and tackle it. Because if you don't just go for it, you end up like not doing much. And I find out just do it, present it, and it'll get used.
Awesome. Man, it's been a great conversation, guys. I really do appreciate the fact that you took the time to come on the show and share with us what's been going on this past year and just your experiences. Like I said, this is something that we haven't done before, so it's always kind of neat to be able to do something like that and kind of peek behind the curtain and give the listeners some new perspective into what goes on. So thank you for that. I look forward to seeing what takes place in year two. I think that the ball is really rolling well, and I'm excited for the future of the org, man.
Thank you, guys.
Same.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Definitely. Well, hey, we'll be back next week. We're looking forward to sharing some more interviews and stories with folks. But until then, y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.